There's no place like home. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. It is great to be back, at least for this week. In Genesis chapter 12, verse 1, God tells Abram, the Lord had said to Abram, go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you. The two parts to God's go are going from and going to. Which was Abram's home, was considered the place to be. Setting out for ancient Mesopotamia, all the trading wealth from around the Mediterranean had to travel through It was a place of immense affluence, trade, education, and technology. Pastor author John Ortberg writes, the first written legal code that began civilization was there in So it would have been a hard place to leave, especially if you were going to Canaan. Canaan was unsophisticated, unrefined, and underdeveloped. No one who had enough money to live in the great center of civilization, would move to Canaan. Here's the point. You must trust God with your future when the path He has called you to doesn't look like the obvious one. But if you are willing to go, you will discover that God has blessings in mind that you've never dreamed of. God told Abram in Genesis 12, verses 2 and 3, I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you I will curse. And all peoples on earth will be blessed through you. The reward that God gives you will always be greater than any sacrifice that He calls you to make. Now, has God called you to go, but you want to stay? Or is He telling you to stay, but you want to go? Here's the score. If you obey God, you will never regret it. And that's a guarantee. I'm so thankful for Joanna Haggerty, Grace Smith, Avalie Cofield, Kinsey Coulter, Laird Drown, Braxton and Richmond Farmer, Malia Hendry, and Danny and Keegan Miller for saying yes this summer to going on a mission trip. Mission trips have taken me to many places that I didn't want to go to over the years. But God has always had a purpose. Last week, I came across an article on missions that said in part, I'm guessing that many of you hearing this have kids who are serving near and far through your church's short-term summer missionary trips. If so, not only will the Lord be working through your kids as they serve in this way, but you will see the Lord working in your kids, taking them deep in their faith, fueling their passion for God's work in the world, and perhaps even hearing God call them. And if that happens, how will you respond? Will you release them into God's hands, trusting Him to work out His will and way in their lives for their good and for His glory? If you're like me, you're now pondering how difficult it would be to give up your child to the Lord in this way. But when our children hear and answer the irresistible call of Jesus to go into all the world and make disciples of all nations, regardless of what it might cost them personally, it is then that we must come to terms with the fact that our children were never really ours to begin with. Rather, they've been given to us to steward while we raise and nurture them in the Lord. And like the childless Hannah, who prayed fervently for the Lord to give her a child who she promised that she would give in service to the Lord, we must say, so now I give him to the Lord. For his whole life he will be given over to the Lord. Are you willing to release your children into the hands of the Lord for the sake of the spread of the gospel? Pray now for your children and teens, asking God to use them as He wills, while preparing you to willingly accept whatever risks and costs that might bring. After all, they are His and not ours. That's certainly something to ponder as we plan for future mission trips. Have a great week, and I will hope that you will join me on Friday with more from the Word for You today.